Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Rozeboom. If you're new here, we went and built a custom firewall for the Toyota Supra, something that matches the previous work that was done with bead rolling. And then we ran into an issue where the fender was not fitting correctly and I could fit my fingers underneath it. So this was previously repaired and they did not do a correct job repairing this. So I'm going to now dig into this and get this fixed and squared away correctly. Here we go. All right, as a reference point to what is going on here, I actually have a cut from another car that I can use to measure and make sure we are in the correct spot. So I'm going to do that now and figure out where we are off. Either the front is sitting too high, but I don't think that is because I have all new mounting points with an upper radiator support and upper bumper support on where this should be sitting. And so I'm pretty sure because this was repaired incorrectly that this actually is the issue. Okay, so I think I found the actual source of the problem. I'm not sure if you guys can see this on camera too well, but right about here, there's a dip that it goes down, and this piece was welded in with that dip there. So obviously getting it to go up is not going to be easy. So I think I need to fix the underlying issue. And that'll mean removing all of these welds on this custom piece that's built here, and then we'll cut right along this edge and then remove that and then see if we can address that actual issue with pushing that up where it needs to be. Fun. I just want to show here quick that a lot of people seem to think that truck bed liner is good for underneath the car. That's what this is. The previous shop decided to undercoat it all with truck bed liner. They didn't prep it right at all. Definitely don't recommend truck bed liner. There's a whole bunch of rust hiding underneath this. Holy cow. Jeez. That is insane. So, more fun stuff. Alright, I only have a few minutes left on the battery, but I just want to show you underneath. This whole thing is, I don't know how much that's coming on camera. The whole thing is bashed in and down. So that is definitely the problem. I don't understand why you would just cover that up and not fix it properly first. Yeah. So, that is definitely the issue. Alright, so with that off, now I can really get a good sense at where this panel actually is and how far down it is. It's just really hard because that's been welded so much. Even like right here is dipped down. That should be flat, and you can see that that's not flat, and it should be. So even all the way back here, it's pushed down. It's really crazy that it looks like someone just took a hammer and beat it all down. So, unfortunately, this actual panel right here is discontinued from Toyota. So either I'm going to have to try and find a donor panel, or I have to figure out how to make this one work, which is going to be really hard because this thing is just so overworked. So, yay! Alright, so I decided that I am going to tear this one out, get this cut out. Hopefully I can find a replacement because this just needs to be replaced. So, who knows how long it'll take for me to find a replacement. Obviously, it'll probably go quick for you on camera, but for me, it's going to probably take weeks. Well, after I get that tear out, I'm also going to, I think I'm going to tear this out because this is still an issue with it hitting right here. So I need to cut the skin off that they welded on, fix behind the skin and get that cleaned away, and then put a new skin on top of that. So when the bolts go through, it doesn't hit right here. Fun. All right, now that a lot of that body filler is taken off and all the dust is blown out, oh my gosh. I can get a sense of actually what's going on a bit more here. This was just filled with body filler. I don't know how well it's going to come across on camera. You kind of see there's a lot of like fat that's built into this now. So without this cover that someone else put on, it's already really tight fit. For these to slide in, these go in here to carry the subframe, but this like still barely fits, and I already have it ground down quite a bit, so I don't want to keep grinding that down. I might even get a replacement one, but yeah, so there's a lot of fat going on here. You can see it like comes out this way and then goes up, so I'm going to try and cut it out where they about welded it on. And then I know that the inside, so like underneath the skin and stuff, is a lot of that in there is like wrong. So I'm gonna have to hammer it in and fix all that, get that squared away, and then we'll put a new skin on that. Yeah, you can see how much it's sticking out right here. That's definitely a lot of the issue, but they didn't like trim the stuff back. They just hit it with the hammer and welded it. Oh my gosh. Okay. Right. Fun. Fun. I have to cut it back a little bit more and then go in and clean this stuff up properly. Looks like it's a little fat right here even. Yeah, this side too. It's definitely a little fat, but I can't really do much with that. Okay, so I think I got this opened up enough, so it's actually at a workable spot now. So we gotta start fixing all of these bumps and get this thing smooth, and then we'll make a panel to go over it, a new one. So I'll probably start with this one, and then we'll get that drilled out, and then weld it in, and then make it smooth, and so on and so on and so on and so on. Cool. All right, so got that one cleaned up. Now we'll just move on to this one and then clean those two up, and then I think I can just tuck that one in. So cool. All right, so I think that'll do. It's looking a lot better. Nothing super crazy or fancy. I got to now weld in a plate right here, so we'll make a template and then weld in an extra piece of metal just to cover everything up, like a skin, like they had it, and make it all nice. For the top, they seam welded this together and then just filled it with body filler. I definitely don't want to just fill that with body filler, so I'm thinking of cleaning this out, and then we'll weld the base together, and then we will make a new skin that'll go on top of it all, and then weld that together too. Fun. All right, so just test fitting the panel that we made. I got to add a little groove on the bottom right here just so this can fit in. It needs to be tucked in a little bit more inside. I don't have like a metal roller to shape this perfectly, but it seems really good. The actual like brace that we had issues with is now fitting just good enough, so cool. All right, I got weld through primer on all this stuff, so we'll go ahead and get that on and weld it up. Okay, so that is tacked up, looking really good. I made the top piece that'll go right here, so I'll go ahead and get that tacked up and welded, and we'll be all set. And just like that, this is now welded up, looking pretty good. The only issues I would have would be like some of these corners and stuff where the other previous work was done. But yeah, I think that'll do. So go ahead and keep moving forward. This also fits in nicely now and isn't rubbing against it. See if I can get an angle here, you kind of see. So yeah, I think that's a win. Okay, so with this now kind of squared away and fitting correctly with the bracket and stuff here, and with how much body filler was in there, I'm going to switch to this side and do probably the same thing that I did to the other side to this side, because that is not fitting correctly either. Fun. All right, and as we saw, that was filled with a bunch of body filler. To be honest, I'm really disappointed how bad all of this really is. It's really a shame. But yeah, I'll go ahead and get this cut out just like the other side. We'll tuck it in, add a new face on the top of it, match that same like angle on the edge versus the round one. We're not going to fill it with body filler. So yeah, we'll go ahead and get this going. All right, I didn't want to show everything because it's the same as the other side, but this side is now done. I just have to drill the holes for the shock tower and it's all set. Cool. All right, and I am so excited to see one of these in person. This has been a lot of work to find one of these, let alone getting it here. So huge shout out to Latif and A1 Auto Repairs. They're based in Glenroy, Australia. That's right, this thing came from Australia, so it's definitely been quite a journey to get this thing here. Awesome. Let's go ahead and start drilling out all of the spot welds, and then I'll be able to get the actual panel itself off, and then we'll cut that one out and switch them, and we'll have a perfect fitting OEM piece that'll go in, and hopefully that is one of the last big pieces of this puzzle. All right, so I got that cut out. I got the replacement panel just resting in right now. As you can see, the gap fitment is much better than what it was. Fits way better up front too. And I just have a little issue now where I don't think this is gonna, oh, maybe you can kind of see it on the camera. This is pushed down right near the end, so I'll go ahead and pull this up, and then that'll fill in this gap. And then I will refit things and we'll see where we are. So here we go. All right, with this looking pretty decent for now, I wanted to go ahead and get the rest of the panels and stuff on the car just so we can double check everything. I did notice that the two rails, the two main rails that are coming out, are actually too close together. And I noticed that through trying to put on the actual rebar itself. I don't know if we can see, so you can see the bolt holes aren't lining up. We're about ½ an inch off. So I got the Porta Power hydraulic press ram to sit right here, and we're just gonna pump that up, and that'll just give us the ½ inch that we need. So I'm gonna do that quick, and we should be good to go. All right, so you can start, I don't know if you guys can see this is an on. You can see the bolt holes are now starting to come up. So what I actually will do is actually go past it, because once I release the pressure on the hydraulic, it will come back in a little bit. So we'll go past it and maybe do 1 or 2 passes just to make sure we're good. And then we'll keep moving forward and putting panels on. All right, if that is now bolted on, looking really good, I'll go ahead and keep getting the rest of the front end mocked up. And just like that, I have the hood on, the front bumper on, headlights on, fenders on, and I'm just using all of this stuff right now for mock-up because this is from the factory parts. All of this is OEM stuff versus the aftermarket stuff that'll be going on. Usually doesn't fit the best. So using this for mock-up will help determine where any issues are rather than trying to play a guessing game with the aftermarket stuff that will be going on this car. I do have one tiny issue now where the fender is sitting just a little low. So where it sits right in there where it mounts is a little low. I got to pull that up, not a big deal. You can see we're just a tiny bit off, nothing crazy. I'm definitely at a point now where I feel like I can like fine tune stuff and dial it really in. For the hood, I'm actually using these OEM bolts. So these OEM bolts have a collar on it, and so they mount to the body and to the hood. So there is zero play where the hood sits, and considering the fact that there's no play where the hood sits, and we are looking this good on the lines now, I think that is a huge win considering the fact that all of this stuff has custom panels on it, and I had to dig all of that out to try and put a new panel in so we know where fitment is correct. And the goal was to not touch the engine bay, and obviously I already did a lot. So considering all of that, I think that is a huge win. So I can start moving forward with fine-tuning the mock-up, and then we can start welding. So cool. Okay, so update. I removed all of the OEM stuff off of the car. All of that was fitting really good. Now we have a set of replacement fenders that just arrived. The replacement fenders are here because the previous shop cut off the tab that sits right here. You can see we did receive a little bit of damage from shipping. And the reason why having that tab right there is so important is because your headlight actually mounts right here to the fender itself. So you can imagine how much wind force is being pushed down right here with the headlights on, going like down the highway, where having that extra support is super important for fiberglass, especially fenders. So yeah, we have these replacement fenders on, and because all of this stuff is aftermarket, it does not want to fit the best. You have an aftermarket hood, you have aftermarket fenders, aftermarket bumper and everything. So I got this side dialed in pretty good where the fitment on the fender and hood looks really good. Now, unfortunately, this side I am struggling with where it does not look the best. So I'll keep dialing in with like adjusting the hood a little bit. And another thing that I have to do now is trim this actual bumper bar that sits right here to the actual bumper, because for some reason when they designed this bumper, they don't have it sit all the way down where it goes underneath that bar, which is super unfortunate. I would really have liked to have seen that. You imagine they could just add a little bit more material, but whatever. I'll go ahead and cut this bumper bar out, and then we will refit the bumper and then start dialing in this stuff and then see where we're at. Fun stuff. All right, so the bumper is on. I will have to go through and do a secondary cleanup pass on the actual bar that sticks down here, just because if you were to like look down or something, you don't want to see this all sticking out. Obviously that's not ideal, so we'll get to that at some point, but the main fitment now is what I'm after. We're looking pretty good. So they had on this side, or on both sides actually, there was a bolt that was sticking through from, I guess, maybe the previous shop or something. I don't know. Right here, you can see there was a bolt there's bolts that stick through, and then they like glued it all in. I don't know if you can see all that. They glued it all in. There's actually supposed to be a bracket that fits underneath here and then has two mounting locations. So I'll go ahead and dig all of that out so I can use the actual bracket that's supposed to go there. I had to cut that one because it was not fitting at all. So we just have tape right now holding it up just so I can check out fitment. But yeah, I'll go ahead and start refining some of this gapping because that is unacceptable. Just such a pain being all aftermarket stuff. So I'm going to get working on that. That's going to take me a while, and then I'll update you in a second. All right, so unfortunately I was unable to get these fenders to sit exactly the way I wanted them to. It's just unfortunate considering that finding a pair of these fenders is hard enough. So I'm now going to go back and reuse the old pair of fenders that we have, and I'm just making a template for a tab, and then we'll go ahead and make that out of metal and glue it up. All right, so I got the brackets that I made glued in, so let's go ahead and remove the clamps and see how we're looking. All right, those are looking really good. They're really stout now. I'm actually really happy with how they're coming out. I'm gonna go ahead now and throw them on car and see how we're looking. Yeah, that's looking really good. I really like where the height is on how this matches up, how this fits on there. So we'll go ahead now and get these cleaned up and then fiberglass over them and drill that hole. Sick. All right, I'm pretty happy with how these are currently turning out. I'm gonna go ahead and throw them on the car, and then we'll get the hole drilled out before we do a final like glazing coat and make it really nice. So I got the fenders mounted. We are looking really good with the gap and stuff between the hood now. The holes are drilled on these new tabs. So I'll go ahead and finish cleaning up these tabs so we can start filling in all those little pinholes, and then just really like refine the finished shape and everything, and we can start moving forward with getting the rest of this stuff all welded up, because that's the whole goal, was getting all of this welded up in the first place, and then it just turned into the snowball effect of issues. So cool, definitely happy. It feels like we can start moving forward now. So I got everything removed, moving forward on getting ready to weld. Again, this panel was sitting right in here. That was definitely not ideal. Looks pretty nasty. Here is the cut that we got for that upper rail. Here's the actual panel that should go there. So I'll go ahead and drill out the spot welds, and we'll get that panel off, and then clean all of this up, and then mount that right there. And then we should be ready for the actual upper rail to go in and welding it all together. so that is welded in. I got weld-through primer and everything on the back side of this panel. So we'll go ahead and get this guy in there and get this welded up as well. So before I go ahead and weld the upper rail on, I put the upper radiator supports on and the fender just to mock stuff up one more time, just so we can see that we are good before we actually weld stuff in. The bolt alignments are good, so yeah, looking good. So I'll go ahead and now remove that and get this stuff welded. Do a quick spot weld right there. Go ahead now and get this stuff off, and then we'll really get all of this welded up. For the camera, I think that'll do for now. I got to go back through and actually like fill in the welds here because I just did like some tack welding just to get the panel in. I'm going to now test fit it with the fender just to double check again. That would really suck if something went wrong. But yeah, I will do all of that welding off camera, and then also off camera I'm going to go ahead and weld all of this stuff up and clean this up and make this look nicer. But again, that'll be off camera. You guys probably don't care to see that, and I will update you guys in a second when I get that fender on, just to see how that fits again. So I have the upper radiator support on. We got the fender on, bolted in. Everything's looking good. Gap fitment is looking good on both sides, both ends of this thing. So eventually we got to throw on that custom panel over top of that. But yeah, everything's looking good, so we can move forward. Cool. All right, so I quick threw on the upper radiator support. I have it all lined up in the correct position where it's supposed to sit on the actual rail. Like there's like the line on how far forward it's supposed to sit. I got that on both sides, so that's looking good. I got the fenders to line up where I had them, so that hole's good. So yeah, I think we're ready to start welding that guy in place. So here we go. So with that upper radiator support in, I'm gonna go ahead and switch to doing the lower radiator support. So I'll go ahead and get this stuff cleaned up and put some weld-through primer on it, and we'll get that welded in too. All right, that'll do it for this video. It's been a crazy amount of work getting just that upper rail in and getting all of the factory supports back in. Super happy with how things are coming out. It really goes to show you how important it is to do things right the first time around rather than trying to go in and redo and undo the stuff that has been done. So yeah. The next video, I think we will start cleaning up the engine bay and getting it really nice and dialed in and re-adding those custom panels back in. So that'll be really exciting. Until then, I'll see you in the next one. Hit me with that like button, comment down below what you think, and peace.